So it's 9 a.m, your foundation looks flawless. Give it a couple of hours and all of a sudden it's clinging to dry spots, it's looking really patchy, and all of a sudden it's just aged you by 5 to 10 years. Does this sound familiar? I know it does, because I've had a lot of people complain about this. This happens a lot when you go into your 40s. I'm 45 years old and I've dealt with the changes in my skin and I've adjusted my makeup technique to suit this age. It doesn't mean you have to look different. It doesn't mean you have to all of a sudden start liking different types of finishes to your makeup. You can still like what you like. You don't have to change your likes, but you do have to change your technique so that it looks the best possible version on your new skin. So today we're going to fix it so that even if you're in your 40s, your skin is going to look smooth, flawless, and actually end up making you look more youthful. Because what's wrong with that? We don't mind looking a little bit younger, right? So if you're new here, welcome. I'm Nina. I'm a professional and celebrity makeup artist, and I've been doing this for over 20 years and I've been educating people for years and years. So today we're going to help you out and make sure we clear everything up and make it really easy to understand too. I make all of my tips and my videos very real life, so it's relatable and it's very kind of like easy for you to take away and throw it into your own routine. Now, even though I'm going to be sharing with you tips and tricks and showing you exactly how to apply your makeup so that it isn't patchy, so there's some nice tricks in there for you, I also do want you to understand why your skin looks patchy with your makeup, because if you don't understand the why, it's harder for you to fix it after. So as long as you know why it's happening, all of a sudden when we fix it, you're going to understand why it's working. Now, I know that sometimes we can automatically blame the products because we're like, okay, this product is not good, or I tried this foundation. I've seen, honestly, even comments on like online of people really trashing certain foundations, and especially when they're ones that I've used, and I've used them on different clients as well, so I know how they work on different skin types. And to me, the first thing that stands out is you've not actually used it properly and you think it's the product, and it's actually not. And that's where I feel like some brands do get a bad rep, when sometimes it's how you use it. And maybe that does also come down to the brand explaining how you should be using things, especially if there's more than a few people saying it about the same product. Honestly, sometimes it is your technique. After 40, our skin changes. We lose collagen, our skin gets thinner, we lose that elasticity in our skin. There's less oil production, which means your skin can end up looking drier and a bit more aged. Your texture becomes a little bit more noticeable. Things like fine lines are getting a little bit deeper and eventually they'll become wrinkles. All of this happening is obviously changing your skin. And it's also meaning that makeup will react differently on that skin. If you end up sticking to the routine that you were using in your 20s or 30s, it's just not gonna work on your new skin, because your skin is changing now. And get this, it's not even gonna be an overnight thing where all of a sudden it's changed and, oh, this is new skin I'm left with. It's just this constant change now. So this is almost like, I would say, the beginning of the change, and you're going to see that change happen more and more as you get older now. So I'm preparing myself for that. Like, I know that I'm not going to get my skin in necessarily I'm not going to make it look like it did in my 20s, but I can definitely give it a helping hand and make sure that I can keep it in the best possible quality for the age. So if you end up sticking to the routine that you were using in your 20s or 30s, what happens is the makeup ends up sitting differently on your skin. It's just not going to look the way it did when you were younger, because your skin was different then. So now it could end up looking a bit more cakey, a bit more heavy, a bit more kind of like everything seems to be enhanced, like the texture, all the things that you're trying to hide just seem to be more enhanced. Now, there's a few different things that can cause a problem here. One is skipping your skin prep. Makeup will cling to dry areas or texture anywhere. It's just going to cling onto it. So if you think that, it's worse having more hydration there, it's actually the other way around for you, because I know if you have too much hydration, it can slip and slide everywhere, but with your skin now, you are going to need a little bit of extra hydration, but that doesn't mean greasiness. That doesn't mean a lot of product underneath. It means the right type. So it could mean that your skin isn't too dry, but you still need hydration. You might be good with a lotion, something that isn't too thick and creamy. But if your skin is excessively dry, then you'll probably be better with a more like a richer cream. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you need to have your skin prep on, and it needs to be done correctly so that your makeup doesn't cling to any dry patches. If you look at your skin in the mirror and you look at it and you're like, well, I can't see any dry patches, it's not about seeing it, it's about feeling it. And even you probably won't even be able to feel it properly, but your makeup is going to know what to cling onto. So it's actually one of those things where it isn't as easy for you to address visibly or even by the feel of it. You'll know once the makeup sits on it. Another reason that things can look patchy on the skin is using the wrong type of makeup, which isn't suited to your skin type. So using the wrong formulas for your skin. Ultra matte products are going to end up drying out your skin more. Powder foundation is going to end up looking powdery. That's it. I honestly steer clear of powdery foundations unless you've got excessively oily skin. I would stay away of powder foundations. I don't even know who still uses them. Okay, another thing that people do wrong is using no primer or the wrong primer on your skin. Like, one size doesn't fit all here. So this is where you really need to figure out what kind of primer you need. Like, is your skin, after your skincare is all on, does it generally, and by the way, right, I'm literally cutting myself up here, literally. So by the way, I just want to add that this will take a bit of trial and error, and I actually think it's a good thing for you to go out for a day, maybe a couple of days, like slowly tweaking things for you to figure out what it is that you need to change. But go out with your usual skincare on, even if it looks like patchy, and that's why you're watching this video, because I want you to actually analyze that day. So when you go out with your makeup, how it usually is put on and how it ends up looking patchy through the day or feeling patchy, do that and make notes of like at what time roughly it starts to look like that, where it starts to look like that, and do that for a couple of days, because you might notice a kind of similarity and it might give you a bit of a helping hand in what needs to be changed on your skin. For example, if you're constantly getting it around the eye area or around the like other areas, you'll know that, okay, maybe it's my eye cream or maybe it's my primer. So you can start adjusting those things slowly. Another thing that people end up doing wrong is the layering. Mixing certain formulas together can end up giving you a different finish, and it can end up changing the way your makeup sits on your skin. It can end up actually breaking the base apart a little bit, which can lead to patchiness. And I don't mean like physically mixing products together. I mean when you are not allowing time for each layer to settle down, because you might as well have just mixed it together if you're not leaving enough time in between. Now, another one is poor setting technique. This is where people, because they get patchy makeup, they get scared of powder and then they're just like not using enough or in the right way. They're not setting correctly, or they're using too much of it. Don't forget that if you like this video and subscribe to it, it really does help my channel out. And if you don't want to miss any of the good stuff, because there's some really good like videos coming out, then make sure you hit the bell button as well, because that means you just won't miss any of it. Let's talk about the exact fixes now. So this is where we're going to actually be applying the makeup, and I'm going to be explaining to you along the way how this is going to help you and some tricks along the way too. So skin prep is everything. Use a gentle face wash that isn't stripping your skin of moisture. Use something gentle. You also want to use a lightweight moisturizer. Now, I've already applied my SPF, by the way, but that's because I had to go out for a walk this morning, so that's all I've got on my skin. But I do have a lightweight moisturizer that I use, and I absolutely love this. This is the Calm Keto cream, and you can actually get a discount with this using the code SHOPNINA. It will be on the screen. So I definitely have certain dry patches on my skin that I've realized over time that I have that don't actually feel it or look it, like if I'm just looking at my skin. So it's taken me a bit of time to figure out what works, but you know, here we are. So this is my MAC Hyper Real Serumizer eye treatment, and I'm just putting a little bit of this on my finger. I don't put too much eye cream on, but enough that it keeps it hydrated. I don't want my eye area to feel dry to touch after putting this on. I want it to feel slightly tacky, but not like, you know, it's not slipping and sliding everywhere. Now, this is where you want to apply your primer. Now, between each layer, I'm leaving around at least 30 seconds or so. Obviously, the video is edited, so you're not going to see it, otherwise you're going to be waiting here forever. Next up, we're going to apply the primer. Now, this primer I absolutely love for anyone in their 40s or older. It's such a great primer. I feel like it's been made for over 40s. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Hydra Prime. It also has SPF 50, which I love. Here we go. And anyone who started using this, I've seen a lot of you guys actually leave comments, especially over on my beauty community, the beautybreakfastclub.com. I've seen a lot of you talk about this because we have a group chat over there, by the way. Like, so you guys, if you want to join it, join the Beauty Breakfast Club. It's an online magazine that I've created. It's been around for around 2 years and it's growing. It's honestly that you've got newsletters about everything, tips, tricks, and everything to do with beauty, and also some style. So if you ever like are interested, if you follow me on Instagram, into the things that I wear and my style, then there's a lot of that up there too. And a lot of kind of newsletters about being in your 40s as well. So yeah, head on over there. But a lot of people in the group chat have been speaking about this, that they've bought this primer and they've loved it. So honestly, I really feel like it's made for over 40s. This in itself might be the magic like fix for you. So it might be just that you have to change your primer, but honestly, great primer. Okay, now when it comes to your foundation, you want to apply in thin layers, but what we are going to be doing is using something which also is hydrating. You don't want to use a matte foundation if you are dealing with patchiness and makeup clinging to dry areas. So I would stick to something not necessarily overly glowy, but something which is a very subtle radiant foundation. So I'm going to go with the MAC Studio Radiance in NC38. I love this foundation, it's great. There's a couple of tricks that we're going to do, like when it comes to our application and what we apply it with, and you know, in between each layer. But first off, what we want to do is get a really nice thin layer of this on the skin. So I'm using my BK Beauty 106 brush. We're going to buff the foundation into the brush from the back of the hand like this, and then we're going to just buff a thin layer all over. And this is where I feel like some people think that, you know, if you apply less makeup, that you can't have the lift and the nice kind of like, you know, like when you use contour to lift, like the lighter shade, that you can't do all of that. You can still get all that. And I'm going to show you that in a very subtle way. So you can see that you don't need to apply a whole load of makeup for it. See how we've got this nice thin layer now? So I've got my concealer, which is my Too Faced Born This Way, and I've got it on the back of my hand. Okay, so I've got that ready there because I actually want to show you something, this little trick where you can still get that really nice lift. So I've got this other concealer ready, which is my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in, what's this? Well, it's custard. So this is actually a lot lighter than my skin tone. Now we're going to go, I've taken off the excess off of this because I don't want a lot of it on here. I want a very small amount. And what we're going to be doing is just lifting certain areas before we go in with our actual concealer, which is the Too Faced one. The Too Faced concealer is in Sand, so it's very close to my skin color, but it is a little bit brighter. But here, what we want to do is actually just add a little kind of lift. This is not for the coverage. This is literally for the lift. So you'll see it's actually very faint in terms of like the amount of product. And we're just gonna add a little bit here and here. So it's not really going to give us the coverage we want. What we want to do now is you want to get a fluff brush. You want to get something which is not too thick. This is actually an eyeshadow brush. This is the BK Beauty A502 brush. And what we're going to do here is just very lightly soften it. Can you see that? Like I said, it's not going to give us coverage. Even though it is a concealer, we've applied such a kind of thin layer. It's honestly just for the lift and the brightness. And because it's a radiant concealer, it's going to give us that lift and it's not going to cling to dry patches. So now we're going to go to our concealer on the back of our hand. This is what's going to do us, you know, give us that coverage where we need it. So first thing we want to do is get the Beauty Blender. We're going to just make sure that's nice and damp, go into that concealer. And this is where we're going to focus on the coverage side of things. Now we haven't done the eyelids, but we'll do that after. See that? And then here you can go over So I like to kind of take it on the areas that we applied it. See how we've got that nice coverage, but we've also got that lift. Everything's going to warm down a little bit more, like not warm down, warm up a little bit more, just when we've applied our setting powder on everything. But I'm going to show you a few tricks in between. Okay, spray this again, go into that concealer. I really like the coverage there. Whatever's left on this, I am just going to take onto my lid, and I'm actually going to set my lid immediately so it's out of the way. So I've just got my powder here, which is my Huda powder. Just going to press the powder on. And then dust it off quickly. I don't have to worry about that creasing now. So everywhere else we're going to leave as it is because there's other things that I want to do. In order to avoid patchiness, you want to make sure you apply creams first, then powders. If you apply powder before cream, you are just creating the patchiness. So you want to make sure that you do stick to creams first, then powders. That is the rule of thumb when it comes to avoiding patchiness. So obviously we've already got the foundation on and the concealer on, so everything is currently cream. We're going to stick with creams. We're going to go with the Rhode Pocket Blush in Freckle. I've got my 15 brush from Hourglass. We're going to go over this. We're then going to add this to the peaks of the cheekbones. So everything is cream still. So we're keeping the creams together. Now that we've got all of our creams on, what I want to do is add a layer of setting spray. So I'm going to spray this all over. We're going to let that dry. I've got my fan. This is just going to speed it up a little bit for us. I would highly recommend getting one of these. I know I've shown it in a previous video. I'll put the link in the description, so don't forget everything that I use is in my description, but it is well worth it. Like, it's especially good if you want to do your makeup quick and you want that nice finish, you know, you want to still be able to make the most of those tricks. Now it's time for powder. But before we do the powder, we want to get rid of any product sitting in any lines. So that setting spray that we applied is a nice hydrating one as well. So therefore, it is going to help to kind of like almost soften the makeup up a little bit, which is going to be perfect for any kind of patchiness that you might get through the day. So we're going to use our puff, which is the Makeup by Mario powder or Master Pro puff, always forget. And we're going to dip this into the powder and start setting the face. So we're going to dip into this powder, put it in the middle of the hand just to get rid of any kind of excess product. Let's make sure there's no product sitting there. First place I want to get done is my under eyes, because that is usually the first place that creases. Now, if you don't want to use a powder puff, you can use your brush and just press it in. I like to use the powder puff, but I don't put it everywhere. I only apply it on the under eyes and just this bit here, and then my forehead, like T-zone basically. I don't apply it all over the cheeks because I don't feel like I need it there. So next thing I want to do is get my brush immediately, which is my Real Techniques brush, and just dust the powder away. I've got my veil brush, and this is where I'm just gonna also dust it away from the rest of the face. Now, I didn't apply any powder on my cheeks. You can if you want. You don't have to do it with a puff. I like to go into the powder with my brush and then kind of go over. Because ultimately, the issue that you have is you don't want it to look patchy, but you also want it to last all day, right? So you don't want to go the complete opposite direction of not applying powder because you think it's the powder that's doing it, when actually it could be the makeup underneath that's doing it. And then your makeup doesn't even end up lasting. Now, at this point, you want to get your setting spray again. So this is a really good one, the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. And what we want to do is go on top This is allowing all of that powder to melt into the skin. You are doing all of these different things to help avoid that patchiness. It also helps to lock in the hydration in your skin, which is exactly what you need in your 40s. Now, while I am doing my brows, I am just going to go through some tips with you about what you can do if you do feel that you get any patchiness through the day. With this routine, using these exact products I've used, you shouldn't get the patchiness, but at the same time, it does depend on your skin type and how you like where that dryness is on your skin. So I've just got my Benefit Mighty Fine Brow Pen in 4.5. I'm going to go through the tips with you now. I know that everyone or most people love, I don't know why I decided to talk while I'm doing my brows, by the way. This is like the worst possible thing I could do. But I know a lot of people, you always hear people talking about, okay, keep a powder in your bag because like a pressed powder, you know, like something like the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Settings Powder. I can never remember the name. I know a lot of people carry that around with them because they want to do midday touch-ups. And here's the thing. You don't actually need a pressed setting powder to take with you. You actually need something that isn't going to cost you, well, it will cost you something, but very minor in comparison, but it's not going to cost you much. You need a tissue. Okay, just got my Benefit Precisely My Brow Pencil now to just finish off the brows. But yeah, you need a tissue because I have, honestly, as a professional makeup artist and having worked in this industry for so long and having worked on the red carpet as well, I'm telling you now that powder is probably one of the worst things for you to apply when actually what you probably need, and this is when you're in your 40s, right? When actually what you need is just a tissue, because a lot of the time you just need to blot, right? And I'm not talking about blotting papers. I'm just talking about getting a simple, soft tissue, something soft, which is just gonna help to take away that excess oil and that buildup and then leave you with nice skin underneath. If you really feel that you want to add powder underneath, but you can, but honestly, I feel like a tissue will be enough for you. That's what I do, and I always keep tissues folded in my bag. Now that I've done my brows, I can now add any powder that I need to in terms of like bronzer, whatever you want to apply. Now, the reason I've left it a bit of time is because you want everything to just melt down a little bit. And then you can go in with your veil brush and your bronzer. I'm using the Sunstalker in Private Island. And I just dab onto a tissue first. And then I just kind of warm up my face on the perimeter. And I just do this just around the edges. You want something which is an ultra fine bronzer, nothing which is too heavy. And I do like the Sunstalker for this because I feel like it's not too heavily pigmented, but enough that you get something, but not crazy. And that way, because our skin looks like skin and doesn't look dry, you're not going to get that patchiness either with it. But obviously you can spray over with spray again if you want to. If you are getting patchiness through the day, rather than adding more powder, I would recommend keeping a mini version of this in your bag because a hydrating spray is going to help to just soften everything up a bit more, and maybe keep a small mini beauty blender to just bounce on your skin around the area so that you're getting patchy. So I feel like that's going to really help you more than applying powder. Also, make sure if you do go for powder, go for a very finely milled one. I use the Huda Beauty Easy Bake, but I love that for me and it works well for me. If you feel that that's too heavy for you because it's not exactly the finest milled, I'd go for the Laura Mercier translucent powder, but the ultra blur. That's going to be a great powder for anyone in their 40s. Honestly, whenever I have done makeup in heat, like in the red carpet and on the red carpet and things like that, like any of my clients that have gone like to the Met Gala or anything like that, like real serious, like, you know, it's the Met Gala. I mean, come on. If you are doing anything like that, you don't know what kind of weather you're dealing with, especially because that's usually in May anyway. It's on like the first Monday of May. So you want to make sure that you have the right type of makeup on. I always find that making sure that you use the right technique is always something that is at the top, like the forefront of my mind. It's not the products that can end up failing you, it's your layering and the time that you spend in between and the correct, like using the right products at the right point, right? So it's being very strategic with your layering. That's what can really help you. And that's what's going to make your makeup survive any kind of heat, lights, camera, whatever. So the key takeaways are prep properly, use the right formulas, layer in the correct way, and use your setting spray such as the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray as your sandwich technique. So you're making sure every layer you're applying, you're softening it up so it's not going to dry out the area and become patchy later. Once you know how, it's pretty simple. So thank you for watching. Don't forget everything is listed in the description, so all the links are there. Just click on it and it'll take you straight to it. Make sure that you make note of the discount codes. They're all listed below too. Really excited for the next video. So yeah, enjoy. Make sure you rewind, watch the whole thing and redo it so that you can get it right, and looking forward to your makeup being smooth, flawless and not patchy, and see you on the next video.